I spent way too long letting other people influence mine.
Yeah.
And so now this is my first show. And yeah, no matter what you're pursuing in your life, no matter what you're going for, mine was music because it brings healing and hope. That's how I found this avenue. It's what my purpose is to share that hope.
Yes.
Whatever yours is, get after it. Don't let anyone change your mind.
Hello, fellow Earthlings, and welcome to Deep Dive from the Hive, where we discuss modern-day musician life, answering the call to create, and what it takes to actually produce what you believe in. With your host, Trevor Yerish, the captain of this submarine. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, so let's batten down the hatches and get to it. Let's go.
It is a pleasure to be with you here today. Welcome back to another episode of Deep Dive from the Hive. Stoked to be here. Really excited to be here with our special guest that we have in the studio today. This is an amazing lady. She has an amazing story that I believe will be actually very empowering to some of our listeners. And it's a story that there's so many, I guess, like just lots of moving parts and growth and nuance. And so I'm very excited to dig into it with our guest, Miss Jenny Abdo. Welcome to the studio. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. We love having you here.
Apparently.
You are a regular guest here at the Hive.
That's what it's turning out to be.
That's right. Your story is something that, again, I think I'm pretty sure a movie should be made based on your story. And I know, yeah, like
I mean, they did. It was called Shrek.
it was.
Remember that donkey?
The actual main character, right?
Yes,
exactly. So anyways, yeah, I wanted to we'll go ahead and start. Let's go way back because you grew up in Southern California. Is that correct?
Sure did.
All right.
Yeah.
So tell me about, where you were raised. And then at some point you ended up here in Oregon, but we'll get to that. So talk to me about what it was like growing up in Southern California.
It was perfection for me.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I've been chasing that sort of sunset glow probably my whole existence, but it was beautiful. California is incredibly diverse, full of culture, flavor, just gosh, anything a whimsical little creature could possibly desire. And where I grew up definitely fed into that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, and it's interesting to hear the child's perspective, because that's what you're sharing is what your perspective was as a child. Because as an adult who has kids, I did live in LA for a while and I wanted to get out of Southern California to raise my kids in a nice place like Southern Oregon. Only to find out later on that the kids actually love growing up in Southern California. Okay, whatever. I'm just lost in it all.
You know what? You can't win in parenthood. It's fine.
So did you have a large family or?
Well, my immediate family unit is just my mother, my father, myself, and my younger brother. But I have the great fortune of being born into a Samoan family. So I had a much extended family so close by. We lived right next door to my grandmother and my aunt. So, I mean, it was just like our home had two front doors, really. It was just the same, we all lived in the same space. There were two front doors is what it felt like. And my aunt's daughter, my mom actually wound up raising, which is really common in a lot of Samoan families. You share and you care and you love and you help grow the entire family. So I didn't realize my sister wasn't my sister until, gosh, I think I was about 7 or so. And that was when she moved to Samoa. And I was like,
and
where
this
did
was actually
Nina
your
go?
cousin?
Yeah.
Oh, and you thought she was your sister?
I was like, yeah, where's Nina? They're like,
Wow.
she went with Auntie to Samo. I'm like, why?
You mean mom too?
Yeah. I was like, why? How come I couldn't go? You know, it was amazing, but yeah.
And did you have a musical family? Was your family musical?
Yes. Polynesian people in general typically are very musical. On the island, you know, everything makes sound. It's all musical. And so yeah, I just had the best time in Samoan families at very important meetings, gatherings. We're a tribal culture, so we have a small hierarchy within each family. You have chiefs of families. You know, your elders are very well respected. There are traditions that are passed down generation after generation. Currently, I just spent time in California and got to see our family's chief, my uncle. And so giving him all the love and honor whenever we see him was wonderful. And of course, whenever we get together, we sing. We have traditional Samoan songs that have been passed down through the years. Several that, like my great uncles, have written on the islands, and they've maintain their relevancy and continuity through the generations across all those miles. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's a natural, tangible way to connect with who we are, and so we never lose our place.
And so that is fascinating. So the traditions and the hierarchy, that's something that was even practiced here growing up in Southern California.
It still is, yeah.
And still is to this day. And how was that? Because it's almost like you're participating in two worlds at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what was that like growing up with this, you know, incredibly close, tight family unit that has a hierarchy that's not what I consider my traditional hierarchy, which is, you know, the mother and father and the, you know, there is the idea of like a matriarchy, a patriarchy, but like this is actually like a chief that, you know, of a family, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and it's you, and your uncle is the chief of your family.
Yeah.
That is so fascinating.
And the titles can change if there's been death in the family or, you know, special circumstances. But I have found it a great comfort to have a leader to look up to and someone to sort of make sure we stay connected.
Yeah. It's incredible. Fantastic.
Yeah. And so anytime we get together, there is always singing involved. And even if you don't want to, if your older cousins say, you better get up here and sing the song with us, you better learn it and come sing the song because all your family is watching.
Okay. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but are there any traditional Samoan pieces that you can share, just a snippet with us?
Well, there's one that's really, they sing it in English, but it's so precious. We just sang it for my uncle's funeral. I have lots of uncles.
Oh, wow.
I have had lots of uncles, but it's by this old Samoan group called the Five Stars. They were super cool back in the islands in the 60s and 70s. And so as he was leaving the chapel, all of his nieces and nephews, and we sang him out. And we sang, my sweetheart, you're so far away from me. I'll return to you. I love you so. My sweetheart, you're so far away from me. I'll return to you. Just call for me. I think I messed up the last line because I'm emotional. That's okay though.
I wouldn't know, but that was beautiful. And I know I didn't even give you time to warm up, but that's just how incredible you are. I knew if I put you on the spot, you would rise to the occasion. So thank you. That was beautiful.
You can try me again later. Give me 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. After this apple juice sits in, right? Cheers to you, by the way.
Cheers, apple juice. Thank you.
So, yes. Okay. So you grew up in Southern California, have this incredibly interwoven family. Music, lots of tradition.
Yeah, so much culture.
And then you moved to Southern Oregon.
Yeah, we left LA on my 13th birthday.
What brought you to Southern Oregon?
The church I grew up in, actually, not only was music a big part of it, but I've grown up Pentecostal my whole life. And our church was very pivotal in that development and in the community I was raised in, and my growth in music as a young child. I mean, my mom had us at church nearly every single day. And while she was busy doing things in different women's groups and stuff, I was fortunate enough that our church had 3 different pianos in the building. And so I would go find whichever one I was fancying at the moment and just start to try things and play things and, you know, play the same 2 chords over and over. It's sitting on a walnut brown, I think, Baldwin in the Fellowship Hall in Wilmington, California, at Wilmington First Assembly of God, that I learned my first scale, and I recognized there was a pattern. And if I repeated that pattern any place on the piano, it would give me the same tones. And then if I play the first, third, and fifth tones in that specific sequence, it always made a major chord. And so I was like, what is this magical contraption? And that was the discovery. And that was,
how old were you?
I must have started noodling about 8 or 9.
So 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah.
Here you are in a church, tucked away in some hallway.
Yeah.
With an old piano, teaching yourself music theory.
Basically on accident.
Okay, that's normal. That's normal. All kids do that, I'm sure.
It is when you're bored and have no money.
That's awesome. So you've always been drawn towards music.
Always.
And
always. I was a super cheese ball.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, constantly humming and singing, being really dorky.
So has the church played a large role in your life too?
Huge role.
Yeah.
Huge role.
So church is part of the reason you moved to Southern Oregon.
Yeah. Growing up, my mom was a very strong woman in her faith. Very strong woman in her faith. And my dad was just this cool, like, leftover hippie kind of guy.
Leftover hippie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because now we're in the 80s and there aren't really any hippies left, but, you know, he's just so chill. And he just loves his sweet island girl who really loves Jesus. And he's like, whatever, babe, you know?
Yeah.
And the church scene wasn't really for him. And then it actually flipped his whole life around. My dad had a very strong addiction to heroin. And so, you know, it obviously things like that have repercussions on your family.
Sure.
But I have like the sweetest father on the planet. So his struggles never affected my brother and I in a negative impact. I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he did it. It was a miracle. But he was always so kind and loving. And like he would surprise us some days at school and like pull us out of school early and take us to Disneyland.
What?
And
Come on.
We had like no money. So we're just like, what is this magical day? It's because Dad like moved a couple bricks. You know? He's like,
hallelujah, we're going to Disneyland, kids.
I know, right? But I mean, that's kind of sweet.
It is kind of sweet, you know, in that like Breaking Bad sort of way.
Right. Amidst his struggle and his own personal conflict, he's like, I really want to give my kid just a really special
it's a beautiful
day.
The things a father won't do for their kids, right?
Right. Like, yeah. So I have the best dad. And so Dad, because Mom was so strong in her faith, she was really strict too. So my brother and I really weren't allowed to listen to music on the radio. This is a demonstration of some of the songs I was allowed to learn. This fine piece of composition called Camptown Ladies Sing That Song, Doo-da, Doo-da. You know, just the works.
You're going to have a rendition of that in your show, is that right? Yes,
it's going to be a house trap mix.
A trap mix.
With You're a grand old flags. You're a flying flags. Yep. Oh my gosh.
All
When
right.
the beat drops, the flag goes up.
Fantastic. This is going to be good. You're not going to want to miss this, really, I promise.
Me neither.
Okay, so there's this school cute music that you are learning,
Yeah.
and then
there's
church
music.
gospel. I'm guessing is
All of the above.
huge, right?
Because I grew up in LA, it was extremely diverse. So we got gospel, we got traditional, we got hymns in the best sense. We had worship in Spanish. I mean, it was just everything that you possibly could want it to be. It was an explosion. It was incredible.
So, did your dad just give up listening to music?
No. So before my dad also became a believer, he would take us fishing on the weekends. And so we would listen to like Black Sabbath and the Temptations. And sometimes when he would come home just a little tipsy, he would sing, oh my gosh, it's so adorable. He would try to sing me to sleep. And he always sang, "All My Exes Live in Texas."
Yes.
Which I didn't, or tie a yellow ribbon.
I'm sure that went amazingly wonderful with your mother.
So those were secrets, though. We couldn't tell mom we were listening to that. So my dad really instilled in me early on this whole new like craving for all things like Dio and Ozzy and like big fat radio hits. And so whenever mom wasn't around, my ear would be like searching the neighborhood for whoever had a radio on and try to listen to stuff. And I would go to my friend Danielle's house, who like lived in the apartment above us, and she had I forget what group it was, but old 50s groups, like "Put Your Head on My Pillow." And so all those songs, everything was wonderful. And, you know, growing up in the cruising culture, so you heard a lot of Zapp and Roger. And just, you know, in the 80s was so much fun.
It was, yes.
For music. You know, my sister would be listening to Prince. And so I'd poke my head around the corner and I would watch this curly maned wonder crawl across the stage in, you know, electric purple sequin pants. I'm like,
all 4'6" of him.
yes. Oh, what a beast. I'd marry him in 5 minutes.
It was there might be someone who has something to say about that, but
No, he loves me. He'd be fine.
he'd be fine with it. It's Prince.
He knows that's in the marriage contract.
Right.
You get 3 passes.
3 passes, and Prince is already, you know.
Yeah, and he has nothing to worry about because, you know, Prince is waiting for me in heaven.
He
It'll
is.
be fine.
He is. Okay, so
Sneaking
church
music with Daddy, but church music
brings you to Southern Oregon.
brings us to Southern Oregon because the pastor who came down to our little church in California and was really instrumental in doing a lot of outreach to family and people in the projects. Where I grew up was hardcore. It was idyllic for me because it was the only thing I ever knew. So I was so in love with it. But where we lived was incredibly hard. You know, there were drive-bys and there was gang violence and, you know, we'd find like hypodermic needles around the neighborhood and be like, oh, let's not play with those. Anyways, keep on riding my BMX and singing James Brown tunes to myself, you know.
Yeah.
But so this church that we were at really took their you know, go out and share the good news to all the people. They took that really seriously. And that's exactly what they did. Every Saturday we were out busing in underprivileged kids who were coming from terrible homes, who were on the cusp of joining gangs and all these things. We would bring them all to church and we would just have the best flippin' time. It was insane. It was so much fun. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful just to get that huge swath of the fabric of humanity. And that when you applied yourself and you just stepped outside of yourself and you took something like that commandment seriously and you put it into action, it's just love in action. And so that was astounding. Anyways, the associate pastor at the time his name was Bob Swope. He had grown up in Oregon. And so he came back to Oregon with his family. And a couple of years, so did we, because he had made such an impact on my dad's life.
Wow.
So we came to Rogue River, Oregon, where Pastor Bob was the senior pastor. And that's what brought us
Not
there.
a culture shock at all.
Nope.
Wow. Okay. So
insane.
Southern California, growing up, moving to Rogue River, Oregon,
Rogue River,
where there's
Oregon.
about, at the time, 15 people lived there. No, I'm kidding. It's
That's
bigger,
okay.
but it's a
1,500?
pretty small
So
community.
little.
Yes.
So little.
And so I'm guessing that your world shrunk a lot at that point. Like you moved away
Yeah.
from family, you moved away from friends. You
It was
moved
very
into a community.
claustrophobic.
Okay.
Very claustrophobic. It was the first time I'd ever been landlocked. So that sort of, because when you grow up and you have a sense of the Pacific right there, you feel possibility. I don't know what it is, but you feel it, right? That
Yeah.
expansiveness.
I like that.
That never-ending horizon. And we move into a valley, and there's nothing is open. It's all just
I mean, there's a
contained.
river, but it's surrounded by, yes, these mountains. You're in this.
And you have to climb down blackberry bushes to get to it. and oh man, I remember the first time I put my feet in the Rogue River. Nothing like Southern Pacific Ocean at all.
About 40 degrees cooler.
40 degrees cooler. That wasn't the problem. First of all, it's compared to the surf, it's so still. And so it just looks like you can't trust it. I'm like, oh, what's lurking under you? I'm scared. And also a lot more vegetation
Yes.
because it's, it's not moving like the ocean is. And so I put my foot in, and there was just this sort of like algae bed, or I don't know what it was, but some sort of like vegetation thing. And I screamed and I started to cry because it felt like I'd put my foot into a bowl of pudding. That was I'm like, what? I was like, no. They're like, no, just swim past that. I'm like,
Oh, swim? I'm not going in there. Yeah.
no, I'm
Okay.
good. Thank you.
So how old were you when you moved here?
We left LA on my 13th birthday.
Oh, that's a very special time to relocate. Oh my goodness. So
Yeah, I know.
moving into high school and
Yeah, it destroyed all my dreams
wow.
because
It's already a hard time.
already, and I really, I confided this in you before, but I had great aspirations of working at Wiener Schnitzel,
Yes.
drive-through hot dog stand, because they were on roller skates, and that's what I wanted my summer job to be in high school.
So in school when they
None of
asked,
that
what do
here.
you want to grow up to be? Wiener Schnitzel skater,
Roller skate server person.
server person. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. I like it.
I love
Okay.
roller skates. So it
Well,
made
so
sense to me.
the Wiener Schnitzel dreams
died.
passed because there were no Wiener Schnitzels here. at the
None.
time, right?
I laid them to rest in a
okay.
watery grave with the algae.
Right. And then you had 2 restaurants in your town to choose from. No, but
There was a place called the Homestead.
the Homestead, that was the place. That was the
And-
spot. If you were in the
Ray's
music
food
scene in the
place?
80s in Southern Oregon, the Homestead was a
Was it
spot.
happening?
It really was.
I
yeah.
might have been the wrong color.
It was one. Okay, So that was a thing too for you, evidently. Coming from Southern California, surrounded by family and friends and culture,
Yeah.
and
Where
moving
every-
into a place that was a
Yeah.
little more distilled, if you will.
Sure. I guess, I don't know. Maybe not distilled, because
Maybe-
distilling is a refining process.
I guess so.
right?
Yeah, no, more like just vanilla.
Just, yes. With no bean.
No-
Just the vanilla.
No other flavors, no other colors.
Yeah. Which is so sad, because I actually do love vanilla. It's like my favorite flavor.
Right.
But yeah, no other colors. Coming from a place where everyone was brown and golden and chocolate and mocha, and the vanilla people were it's like, whoa, there's the white guy. How you doing, brother?
Yeah.
That was the anomaly. So they were a lot, they and mostly they were just hippies who were super chill and very kind and also loved diversity. And then, moving to a place where there was no minority. So the 5 people of color in the whole town really, really stood out. And that was a little terrifying. So all at once, the world got very small, but also it feels huge because you're incredibly alone. So everything feels out of reach. It was strange, very strange.
So how did that translate to your church community?
I had a very okay, this is very emotional. Some of them were so wonderful. And are such pillars in my life even today. This couple, Mr. and Mrs. West, they're like my musical godparents. They are just the loveliest people. I love them with all my heart. And other members of my little choir that I was in there. So they are people who really kept me going it was their kindness, their love, their faith, their acceptance that kept me tethered. But on the flip side of that, there are people who really just, it felt like they just really liked to use me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And while using me, also being very disparaging about what I was capable of. So, you're going to find that anywhere you go. It stings a little bit more when it's in church because you're like, oh, this is supposed to be a place of hope and kindness. But this is kind of awful. So it was an astounding lesson as I got older when, just starting high school in a whole new town. I was very angry and I was very alone and, but God put in my path some really, as I said, really remarkable people who never let me wander too far.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you were very involved in music at your church.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So tell me, how did you get involved and where did it lead in your church sphere? Because it's basically where music existed for you at this point.
Yeah,
Is that
was
right?
really the only place it existed for me. And that's the only place it really existed for me until I got to high school and I had the best teacher on the planet. And his name was Gene Simmons. Isn't that cool?
Simmons, what a name.
I know, right?
I just want to stick my tongue out, but I won't.
I know, but he is nothing like the rocker. He's the classiest, jazziest, sweetest man on the planet. His daughter was my best friend all throughout high school and our young adult years. I love her like a sister. She's incredible, Elizabeth. And
is she still around?
She's in Portland with her hubby and their 2 baby girls.
Shout out to Elizabeth and her family.
Hey, Liz. Yeah. Give Sarah a kiss for me. That's her other sister. But yeah, so they were wonderful people. But church was my number one contact with music. So I learned all the fundamentals there. Learning harmony, learning blend, definitely learning how to work as a team because church isn't about a solo environment. You really got to pull together as a cohesive unit, and focus is not about you. You have a goal, and that's to, first of all, worship God, which is what you're there for, but also to encourage the people who have come in. Because church, at its most basic function, hopefully, it acts like a hospital. The wounded and the weak and the searching come. So when you understand that, you understand what your role is, and that's to be light and hope and love. That's your job. Live that, be that. And you don't really need a whole bunch of anything else. And so there's not, no I in team in those principles. So I learned the fundamentals of really good teamwork in church music. And learning how to harmonize was super easy, not just because of my family and their gifts, but because I was around church musicians who that was our bread and butter. And we had a teen ensemble group in our youth group, and we were also paired with a drama team. So we would do like I don't know how else to describe it, skits and stuff to like cool songs back then. And every summer and spring break, we would travel up and down the coast here on I-5 and go to like McLaren Youth Juvenile Facility and do performances for them, go to other churches. We would compete against other youth groups. There's this whole big thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun. I got a lot of exposure, and I learned a lot there in
That's
my
awesome.
formative years.
So, okay, so you are growing in your musicality through church, and then you enter, and at the same time you're entering high school and having that experience.
Yeah.
And then when did you join the music group in your high school?
I joined, oh gosh, I think I started the last half of my sophomore year.
Okay.
I believe. I was having a real struggle with music. Like I had mentioned before, it felt like people were using me because of it. And so I didn't want to do it because it seemed like that's all I was good for.
That's all people saw, and you wanted them to see.
Yeah, I was like, I can hold a conversation, you know. It's like anyways, teen angst, it's the best. So I actually did not want to do music at high school at all. I just wanted to go be academic, maybe make out with a cute boy. I don't know. And
Maybe. So it's through music in high school, though, that 26 years ago, our paths crossed.
Yeah.
Because I was going to a school here in the county here, North Valley, and you were at Rogue River, and your school came to our school.
Yeah, I joined the music department really unwillingly. Like, my geometry teacher made me go to choir class because I was so annoying in his class.
And I also had an incredible choir director, Dave Hegdahl.
Yeah, he was super intimidating, man.
Really?
It was scary to come to you guys, I've got to say. Because your department had been set for, like, ages and stuff.
Yeah.
And ours... because Rogue River had
quite a program out there.
Yeah, and Rogue River didn't have funding for like 10 years or something. I don't know.
But you did have Gene Simmons.
We had, dude, that was he is the secret sauce.
He's fantastic.
Gene Simmons, yeah.
So, so your group came to our school and performed, and I do, it's so fascinating to me because fast forward 20 some years and watching you perform, there was always something really familiar about you, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And then all of a sudden it clicked when we started talking about school, and I was like, I totally remember that. And I remember we talked about it before, but I remember the competitions at the Kirby Shaw.
Dude,
yes, those were amazing. The jazz, like competitions and stuff. And, and that was not our element. That was a little bit like we would prep for it and we would go perform, but that wasn't like our bread and butter as a choir,
right.
as a musical group.
Okay.
We were more about like the big shows. We'd put on the big shows.
You guys were insane.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Amazing.
But I remember how much talent you had then. And there was actually some other people in the group that had.
Probably my brother.
Was it? Okay. I just remember
my brother and Elizabeth.
There were some other voices, some other people that were really strong. And I was like, wow, like out of Rogue River, and your voice was incredible. And so anyways, I just remember that. And it's so fascinating to have been able to make that connection, and wow, like, oh, that's why all these years you've seemed so, when I see you perform, I'm like, gosh, I feel like I know her, but I don't know why.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So
we tried to pull out all the stops for you guys. I remember.
Yeah.
That.
So in high school, you did build a repertoire that was not church music or elementary school music.
No, it was, gosh, Gene, who's like my second dad, it's what he turned out to be. He's an incredible mentor, the most loving man on the planet. He had so much faith in me. It was unreal. I don't know why. But he took such a huge risk with me. And my senior year, he basically let me run the entire show choir department.
Wow.
I got to choose.
So not just as an artist, but as a leader.
Yeah. He let me teach. He let me conduct. We were getting ready for the rave show down in Northern California. And we really wanted to do an 80s throwback thing. And I was super hyped on Michael Jackson. I mean, we always are all the time. But Michael Jackson music at that time wasn't licensed for high school performance. So you couldn't buy the performance tracks to his tracks.
Interesting.
Because, you know.
Yep.
So what I did for, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks, I went in, I stayed after school almost every day, and I replicated as many instrumental parts as I could hear and find on the Michael Jackson track on the school keyboard. So I started with the horn lines. No, I started with the bass line. Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum-bum. Ba-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. And you would play that for the whole 6-minute thing, right? And then you'd go back and you'd try to find all the string patches, and then you'd go back and try to find all the electric guitar patches. So you're rebuilding
the tracks,
you know, like, and that's the
in high school.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of because we couldn't afford the music, and it wasn't licensed for performance use. But we were so young, we didn't care. We're like, whatever, we're gonna do it anyways. And it was that I had the most beautiful revelation on that track as well, because you know, digital keyboards are built in with metronomes, so you can set it and just let it go and just play and let it go.
Right.
But Michael Jackson didn't use a click track on that. It was a real live breathing drummer. So the tempo fluctuated and it had breath and movement. And so I couldn't just like record one patch and then replicate it over and over. You had to play the whole damn song the whole time to that drummer's tempo, and it was shifting. So beautiful, beautiful choice, because it's so much easier to go into the studio, record 4 bars, replicate, you know, job done.
Sure.
It's but they didn't do that. And also it was the 80s, so maybe they couldn't. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I have no idea.
That was something to that. Well, just playing with a live drummer.
Yes, exactly.
And a Michael Jackson. So like he, you know, there's the drummer, his drummer was incredible, or he had several drummers, but they were incredible because he would only select drummers that could play with him.
Yes.
Instead of him playing to them.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
So he would set it, he'd count it, he'd set it, and then he would perform, and sometimes there needed to be a breath.
I know, he was amazing. Performer and band director all at once.
Yes.
It's like, that is a lot of work, man.
So here you are.
Here I am.
Again, you're 15 years old.
I was
16, 17.
Senior year.
All right, we're just flying now.
Oh, I know.
So you're 16, 17 years old. You're, again, teaching yourself how to
play Thriller.
Better, more than that. Like by ear, how to replicate
how to arrange.
Thriller, right?
Yeah.
And arrange and record and I mean, it's so very incredible.
At the rave show, and someone has a tape of it somewhere, right? But the track that we're performing to is the thing I created on that Casio. It's like, what? Oh, that's
so awesome.
It's so crazy.
Okay.
And then, and then we had other girls who were
how were you in high school when you started writing music?
Oh, Lord. Yes, unfortunately. It's only because I wrote this one really melodramatic, stupid song, and all these years I've tried to forget it. I can't. It's stuck in there forever, and it's disgusting.
Perfect.
It's awful.
I love that. We'll got to bust that out. Yeah.
You want to hear it?
Okay.
Oh, it's awful.
I want to hear it right now.
Oh, hold on.
Okay. Got to take a drink real
Sharing
quick.
my shame.
And coming to you live,
Okay.
a cup of shame.
The stupid is, oh my Lord. I'm going to do it. Let's leave our footprints on a lover's beach and build our castles to the sky. To the stars we'll forever reach and ride upon the sands of time. Oh Lord.
Wow. All right. Yeah,
so
no,
gross.
there was definitely there's a time in Disney's history
I was like,
where that would have
Disney?
fit in a movie.
Disney meets like sad
But like
Harlequin.
the bad Disney years.
Yeah.
You know, where there wasn't a movie that came out where you're like, oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah,
like,
we're
there's
like,
a,
shh.
yeah.
I
You
would be
could
on
have,
Disney's Roll of Shame.
that was, but
Hit me up, Disney.
here's the thing. You could sing, the telephone book and it would sound amazing.
The
so
telephone book would be infinitely more interesting
they're
than
actually,
that song.
yeah. Have you seen one in years? I haven't seen
No,
one in years.
no.
So there, now I'm dating myself again.
Dude, I would.
My kids are, they're like, what are you talking about there? What's a phone
do you
book?
mean your contacts list in your phone?
That's right. All right. So here you are composing. Here you
Yeah.
are performing
Yeah.
Thriller. So very secular music. How is this going over with your mom or with church?
Not so good.
Okay.
Not so good. Actually, that Easter, we had a spring concert and we had an Easter production at church. I skipped out on the Easter production and went and did our spring concert.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know, my mom was not excited.
And the Easter production, Easter's kind of a big deal at a
It's
church,
the
right?
biggest deal.
Yeah, and you skipped
Sort of
out on
the thing
that
we
to
hinge
go
on.
perform Thriller at a spring concert. Okay, I can see where things are going here.
Oh yeah.
No, but what's really fascinating to me is as we've talked and gone through this progression, it doesn't feel so much like rebellion. It feels like exploration, because you come off and you talk about the church and your beliefs in a very passionate way. It's not, so you had this interesting relationship where it was like you really wanted to explore all the parts of life, while not, but like, it seems like, was there some guilt involved? Was there
a lot of guilt?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, at that time, the church wasn't big on exploration or living up to your full potential if it wasn't ministry related. At least that wasn't the message that was being delivered on the regular. And so, it just astounded me. I've lain back confused at just the magnificent wonder of all these things that have been created, right? Like you just think of, the deserts and the ocean, and just this world is a breathing wonder. And I would be listening to like Louis Armstrong, build me a kiss to give me a kiss to build a dream on, and my imagination would build upon that kiss, and it's just so lyrical and loving and inviting. And I couldn't, it was very hard for me to reconcile that beauty and that promise and that wonder with something that just felt like it was constantly trying to shut you down. But on the other hand, over here in this institution, I saw the most incredible living examples of love and faithfulness and kindness. And somewhere along, I was searching for the connect. And that was the thing that hurt the most, that I couldn't find the connection.
Because there was a part of you in both of those worlds.
Absolutely, yep.
And you needed to connect them, or else you felt kind of split.
Yeah, you were always told to choose one or the other. And I was like,
so
why would I do that?
So
how is that possible?
Right. So who? Okay, so high school ends, and you
I stopped.
pull back. Okay. Tell me about that.
I still serve in church because it's all I ever knew. So I went on to become a music director and start leading worship at, again, like 17.
17 years old.
Yeah, you don't know any better, so you just go for it.
And you're leading church worship?
Yeah.
You're leading you're the music director at your church.
I got to start leading Sunday night services at 17. Again, I've had some really incredible people who've just had a lot of faith in me. Champions. Yeah, that's a beautiful word for it. But yeah, they just let me, which was insane because I knew nothing. I still know nothing. But
You're
just
such
a lot smoother.
You're so
at
humble.
it.
Sometimes a little too humble,
Sorry.
but no, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, so I started leading on a regular basis at 17, and then I got to start leading like Sunday morning services at 18 is when I like really took over. And then I got to lead like my first 15 voice choir when I was 20. And then I actually wound up going back to my home church at 21 in Rogue River and running that department for several years.
Wow. So again, this is part of the story that I just want to reflect a little bit, because by the time you're 21, you essentially taught yourself music.
Everything.
I mean, you learned in groups by observing and participating, but then when you actually tried to apply that to creating something, that was your trial and error, and you learned self-taught essentially. And that's at a very young age. And then but you're always connected to it. You're always drawn to it. And then you find yourself being drawn to take and compose the Michael Jackson piece. You're taking that and translating that into something that your group can use. You're at some point, Gene Simmons sees this power in you and wants to elevate that, and puts trust in you, as you say, put a ton of trust in you and a ton of faith in your ability, right? And then high school comes to an end, and there are champions at your church who see the same qualities and elevate you into a music director position at 17 years old, where you are half the age of the next youngest person in the group. And to me, for someone who doesn't have a background of trained background, didn't have a lot of people pushing. Maybe you did. I mean, you had some people who saw your talent and wanted to, as you put, use your talent in ways like sing puppet, that kind of a thing, right? But you just had this innate ability and desire and drive that drove you to be actually like very accomplished against the odds at such a young age. I mean, it's very fascinating to me to see this, because your self-image is of this small person at least how you talk about this age, like growing up, and yet all of these adults are putting you in this place of leadership. It's really fascinating.
Oh, I never liked it like that.
Okay, so now you're the music director, and you moved from a couple of churches.
Yeah.
You spend years being musical director at the church that you actually moved up here to participate in.
Yeah.
And my then
angels, Mr. and Mrs. West, were still there.
Okay, your angels are still there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now another angel enters your life around this time, because they hear you singing and say, "Hey, someone who drew you outside of the church atmosphere and wanted to."
Insane.
But it was somebody who you really. So this is Jim.
No, actually, Jim came because of these people.
Okay,
so anyways, it's a regular weekend service. I'm doing things, and we had a lady in the church who was part of a homeschooling group in this community of families with special needs, which is really remarkable, because this is the moment where, like, literally the trajectory of everything changed for me. And I had no idea, which is beautiful. But a woman named Shireen comes to me like right after the music is done. And, you know, there's still preaching to be had, so I should have been going back into the service, but she stops me in the lobby. And she says, I have a friend who's very, very sick. She's not expected to live long. We all love her so much. Our whole crew is chock full of very accomplished musicians, but we're all going to be way too emotional to do anything for her memorial. Would you come?
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, I'll do whatever. Of course. Absolutely. And so, you know, I'm on board, and I meet the poor family, and it's this father with 4 children and he's lost his best friend and his partner, you know, and I'm just there to serve them in whatever capacity they need. And so anyways, we're doing the sound check before the service, and she was not kidding when she talked about all of her friends being accomplished musicians. Like, jeez, people I could not even like touch the hem of their garment on. It's ridiculous. But I find myself in the company of these just remarkable people. And one of the piano players, I'm sorry, you said something 5 minutes ago that triggered me so hard, but it's really good.
Oh, yeah?
It's all about being a self-taught musician. But anyways.
Okay.
It's a good thing. So anyways, this gentleman's name was Brent. And we were just standing around in this circle before the service started, and we're just saying a blessing over the beginning. And he just leans over to me in this circle of people I don't know, and he says, so I'm in a gospel group, and I think it'd be really cool if you came to sing for us, if you would be interested in that kind of thing. And I was so excited. I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, I expected nothing to come out of it. I just thought he was being very kind. And at this point in my life, you know, I was in a place where music was very dry. And not because of music's sake, but just my life at that point was really sad and closed. And so I was dying inside, and so this was like a breath of fresh air. And
how old were you at this point?
Oh Lord, let's see, 32.
Okay, so 32, and you had a family now?
I had a family.
Okay, so you had a husband and
2 boys.
2 boys. Okay, and
5, almost 5 and 4.
Okay, almost 5 and 4. Wait, so 2.
I mean, almost 5 and 3. Sorry.
Okay, there. I'm like, wow, that's awfully close together there.
Right? Yes, super close.
Still,
no, not
still
that
close together, but not that
15 months,
close.
but
Okay,
not that close.
okay.
I'm just bad at math.
That's all right. That's all right. Okay, so you have a family now.
I have a family now,
and that's playing. And so we don't have to get real deep into that piece, but is that a part of why you were in such a tough spot with this?
Yes, it was a very tough spot. You know, music has always been a huge part of my existence. And it was a thing I was using to find reconciliation, right, between between doctrine and between real life. Music was my only connector. And I found myself in a situation where that part of my nature was constantly under attack. And so when that kind of thing is under attack, you know, it just shreds away at you after a while. And it's because, you know, just people are different people. And so you go into something with expectations and hopes, and then realize this is not what I expected, or it was, so anyways, and everyone comes with their own demons, you know, so you can't fault anyone for that. But music had become a battleground for me, which was horrifying. But so someone offering me this way to like keep doing it that was separate, because everything I was doing in music at that time involved these really big stressors in my existence. And so I thought, oh, this might be a chance where I can do something that's outside of this area. So this will be safe, and I can find a safe place over here. And I was like, and even if they don't want me, or they don't let me, someone asked me once, and that's kind of amazing. And so I can just like hang on to that for like ever, and I can just tuck it away in like my secret pocket of little things I love, and just keep that for myself. So I auditioned, and they let me stay. And I was like, oh, thank you. And it was Brent Olstad who extended that to me. And Brent is a miraculous man, because shortly after that, as I mentioned, the lady who approached me was in a group of families. Almost all of them had disabilities or special needs of some kind.
Okay.
This little pack. And Brent happened to be the regional director of an organization called Johnny and Friends, which is something I had heard of a long time ago in California. There's this woman named Johnny Erickson Tata, who, when she was 17, dove into a lake, snapped her spinal cord, completely paralyzed from the shoulders down. She's had a movie made about her life. She's
powerful.
Yeah. And then she turned her disability into a worldwide organization. And it just comes, and it's not exclusive to people with specific disabilities. You know, it's always nice to have focus on different disabilities.
Yes.
But this sort of umbrella that reached out to everyone who is something other than normal was.
And what's that organization?
Johnny and Friends.
Johnny and Friends. Okay.
Yeah, it's so cute.
I have to. I'll have to take a look at that, because that's amazing.
So they're amazing, and Brent is the regional director of that, and so it's fortuitous because about 7 months after I met Brent, our son got the diagnosis that he was on the autism spectrum disorder.
Okay.
And
is this your older son?
My oldest son, Michael. So, he was 5.5 when we found that out. So it was like, the timing is just unbelievable.
Yeah. So let's, okay. So you have
Brent.
2 children.
I have 2 children.
You're married at this point. And you're getting involved in this amazing part of life that's because outside of church. And you
but
find
still
out
church approved.
Still church approved because it was a gospel group.
So I was still safe in my little box.
And then you find out that your son is on the spectrum.
Yes.
And which I'm sure at that point was a blessing of sorts to bring some understanding to your world, right?
Like yes, it's
resources. You can start to figure it out now.
Yeah, because when you have a name for something, it makes a difference.
Yeah, as long as it's the right thing. Like I have friends who've had wrong diagnosis,
absolutely,
right? And that's
absolutely
so that's amazing. Now, actually, I want to lean into that a little bit more, because I know that you have a desire to be more of a public advocate for autism.
Yeah. So as my time with Brent and the gospel group went on, because of Brent's affiliation with Johnny and Friends, a lot of the things we did were for Johnny and Friends and getting really involved in the disabilities community here in Southern Oregon.
Okay.
And so, lots of events transpired, and I found myself at the Criterion Theater after many years, many struggles. And I had asked Doug Warner, our creative director at that time, let me back up. Being a parent of a child with a disability can be very limiting to your social existence in society. So, you know, going to the mall, going to the store, going over to family's houses, going anywhere that isn't your child's safe place is a huge challenge. And people mean well, but it always feels incredibly judgmental and hostile as soon as you leave your little bubble, right? Because you're incredibly protective. And so just you're hyper aware, you're hypersensitive, everything is on edge all the time.
And you're mama bear.
Yeah.
So you're creating a bubble of safety for in that outside space, right?
Yeah. And so you know, it's just exhausting. Where do you find the space to just be a normal human being? And also, where do you find a space that just lets your child be who they are, and you don't have to be afraid for them? You know, and not because of physical harm or anything. All that's entirely possible.
Yes.
But I don't have to be afraid for their hearts or for their minds. And so anyways, keeping that in perspective, at the Criterion, we had this incredible run called the Music Hall series. And we would put on huge shows highlighting a specific genre, decade, era, or artist. And I think it was maybe my third show, because I wasn't quite brave enough to really ask for anything yet or advocate for anyone at all. But in the course of the show, you know, you'd be rehearsing for months, and then you would have a huge, complete tech dress rehearsal the night before opening, right? And so you would have to perform like it was a real show. No stopping, no nothing, but you do your show. And that's because that's just how it is. And so I asked Doug Warner, this incredible man, our creative director of the shows, if I could invite some of my friends with disabilities to come watch our dress tech for the Girls Just Want to Have Fun show, because I thought all the kiddos would love it.
Yeah.
And he was so kind and said, yeah, just invite a couple, because normally you don't invite people into the theater. And so he cleared it with Stephen McCandless, who was incredibly gracious to let us do this like little trial run thing. And it was amazing to give the gift of music to families who couldn't go out and enjoy the theater. There's no way. There's no way you can take a child on the spectrum to the theater on a Friday night opening with other patrons who have come there for a specific experience, right?
Right.
No way.
Because their experiences don't jive with each other necessarily, right?
No, and so if the little one next to you is freaking out for some reason,
because it's moving them,
or is wiggling, you know, and doing all the things they do, you know, that's just not an option for families. They get left out. And so mom and dad don't have that time, or guardian or grandparent or caregiver doesn't have a chance ever to catch their breath. So you have these people who are in like constant stress and reactive mode, trying to raise children in a whole and healthy way.
Well, and these children aren't getting those experiences in their lives either, of live music, for instance.
No, and certainly not the kind where it's, you know, world-class musicians like we had on that stage. Like when you've got
it's the Criterion. It's
yeah, right. So we don't get to go to places like that. We just don't.
Right.
So
you are now through that work.
That was our first one, and then every music hall series after that, the Criterion invited those families back every time for dress tech for the music hall series. And every time there was more kiddos and more parents, and they would just have the best night. And I could see like parents just sitting in their chairs and staying there and enjoying the music with their kiddo like 2 rows ahead going, you know, or hollering at us and not interrupting.
Just enjoying it.
Yeah.
And being in a space where that is not just acceptable.
No.
It's it's the whole point of it.
Yeah,
yes, exactly.
It's celebrated. And it gave us something, I mean, it really set the tone for our shows for the rest of the run, you know, because the first thing we did was a gift.
Yep. Okay. That's amazing. And I want to give this as a shout out to all producers and venue owners out there that this is something that you could adopt, really. This is a concept that, you know, there are families everywhere who are in these positions.
Like a professional musician, I don't take my boys out. I don't.
Yeah.
They come with me on gigs to earn roadie money.
Yep.
Because they want to buy a video game. But I mean, I have a lovely community. Everyone at our gigs knows my boys, so I'm very fortunate. But I feel like they're only safe when it's me playing. But I don't take them anywhere else.
Yeah. Now we are fast forwarding a lot to more the present. We'll go back a little bit here in just a minute, but I do want to I want to lean into this because you're becoming more of an advocate for awareness and acceptance, and that was sort of where it seemed like maybe you're testing the ground a little bit, and now you're moving into wanting to produce something called Autism Sings, right?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So April is Autism Awareness Month. And my friend Jared.
Wow. Well, happy
I know.
Autism Awareness
right?
Month.
We only
Here
have like 2 more days left in it.
But we're there right now.
So, you know Jared Davidson.
I do know and love Jared. I've known Jared for years, and he's incredible. He's actually why we're sitting at this table together right now.
I know. It's fortuitous.
Yes.
And so I met Jared at the church in Rogue River when I was 14. That's how long I've known him. And so our families have known each other for 1,000 years. And anyways, he and I have chatted on and off for a billion years. And this project came up, and he was way more, because I move very slow. I'm like, oh, I don't know, and he's like, no, you must do this. I was like, okay, if you believe in it that much, then we'll do it. So he's really the steam in the engine. Yeah,
he's the steam in a lot of engines. That's just that's how he does. Yes.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So with his vision and with my passion, we're so excited to be crafting. And now with my friend Brent, who has started their own like Southern Oregon chapter, not of Johnny and Friends, but completely independent, called Camp Levi, out in Jacksonville now. So it's like this whole thing that our community
Camp Levi in Jacksonville, Oregon.
Levi. So we're doing a whole big event next year called Autism Sings, and it's going to be in downtown Medford. We'll be bringing in venues. I'm not venues. I'm so nervous when I talk about things. But like booths and fun things specifically for children with sensory issues, trying to create a safe environment for families to come where they don't feel untypical, where they feel accepted, embraced, safe, celebrated. So we're very excited to bring that on. There will be music, of course, but a dear friend of mine named Melissa Donardi she's an adult on the spectrum, and she has written a speech about her experience as an adult on the spectrum, the impact it has on her life, and how people could find a way to change their viewpoint and how they interact. She's written a speech. She has it already. She's a year ahead. She's so amazing. And then we're going to sing a duet together.
Yep. That's amazing. Yeah.
My son told me he would happily sing a song from Dragon Ball Z.
Wow, that's awesome.
So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess we're going to have to learn some Japanese. Okay.
So you're putting this together, and it's going to be called Autism Sings, and it's next April.
Next April 2nd, which is World Autism Day.
Okay.
It's a Sunday. And
where is this going to be again?
At the Commons.
The Commons.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
And it has water fountains, so the kiddos are going to be so
Jared's
happy.
company producing? So Kingsley Entertainment. Shout out to Kingsley Entertainment. I'm just going to give a quick plug because one of the things that we struggle with as a venue is promotion. And it's hard. Promoting shows and artists and, is very difficult. And so we're very excited to be starting down a path of working with Kingsley Entertainment to help help us with our promotion, because we put on incredible shows here. Your show's coming up. We're very excited about your show. And that's been sort of like a missing piece. We have the best sound engineer in the Valley. We put on, I believe our shows are incredible. Yeah. And that's a piece that is missing, is just really strong promotion and producing. So yeah, well, I appreciate that. And now you've been here before. We got to go back in time a little bit. Okay. I'm glad we got to talk about Autism Sings, because that is a very important thing.
That's something to really look forward to. I'm beside myself.
And I love that. I just love that. And it also made it so that we could talk about someone else that's very special too. So going back though, so you are in this gospel group.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's an incredible experience. And there are people who have your back and are advocates of yours as a musician.
They did turn out to be huge advocates of mine.
Because this created like the idea of you going and performing with a group on a regular basis, having gigs and things like that. This created some conflict for you.
Yeah, well, it created a lot of conflict. So this little secret nugget that I thought I had turned out to be something that, it was a lot of conflict, to say the least.
And conflict, this is at home?
Yeah, conflict at home.
Okay.
Yeah. Even though I'm only self-taught as a musician, I take it very seriously. And so, it's my job. It's my honor. It's my duty. It's all the things. It means the world to me. So, and it was never about, it was always about finding the connection in life. It was about revelation. It was about truth. It was about honesty and integrity, and finding your voice. Literally, figuratively, all the ivlies. And that's a hard concept for a lot of people to grasp. Many people think that entertainers go into the entertainment industry because they're seeking attention. No, we're searching. We're not looking for someone to give us something. We're on a path to find something on our own. The fact that we can bless somebody, help heal somebody, distract somebody along the way, encourage somebody, those are all really unexpected perks. And on your worst day, you're hoping for that. On your best day, you accomplish that. So it was hard to constantly try to fight for my voice. Not the one I used to sing, the one I used to exist.
So your own personal advocacy.
My own personal advocacy. I was not very good at it, but after a while I got a lot better. So the gospel group, I thought I would be safe in that pursuit because it stayed within a safe box of church music. But I got to step outside of a regular church environment and be around musicians I've never had the chance to be around before. People who have toured, people who have their own production companies, not self-taught musicians like I was, but real players. And I was excited to grow. I was excited to learn. I was excited to be challenged. I was excited to find something else about myself that hopefully I didn't know before. And I was praying it was good. But that's not what, that is not what, that's not what they could see. The people in my immediate circle, my home life, that's not what they saw. it was more seen as a threat to the security and integrity of our home relationship. Mm-hmm. Whereas, you know, people who are whole and healthy as individuals make the best partnerships, because that is less strain you're putting on the other person to carry your weight. You know, you want that partnership to do that together. But to constantly be doing all the heavy lifting for one another, it's draining.
Sure.
And it will wear after time. All lessons I got to learn along the way.
Sure.
Yeah.
And,
had I known this at
also,
19, I would have been amazing.
Yeah. And at what age did you get married?
27.
So is it safe to say that the person that he married was different from the person that wanted to go be a performing artist? No. Okay. But you weren't actively performing and gigging.
I was not gigging, but I was a music director.
Uh-huh.
And that is how we met. With
At
me
church.
being in this position.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I thought gospel group was safe was because my my position as a music director in general offered no security. So that was, oh good Lord, there's no soft way to say it. I'll start by saying everyone has their own inner demons, and I completely respect that. And it's the father of my children, and he deserves all the best because he gave me the best. Those boys are everything to me, and I know he adores them. The two of us as people, awful. And it was very competitive, and I didn't understand that. And so there would be times where I was asked to be less of myself. Don't play as well. Don't sing as well. Why won't people talk to me anytime you've done something? So it was very sad. It broke my heart, because as a musician, you always want to be around people and encourage growth and encourage that, like, you know, no. If you don't know that, I'll teach you that. And then you're going to be better, you know,
Right.
because then you will have this skill, and it's going to make everything you do like so awesome, and you're going to understand it, and it's going to make sense, and you'll be able to equip yourself and move forward with this drive, you know. And so instead of seeing tools, they saw weapons. And so I don't know if that was because I didn't know how to communicate properly. I don't know. Hopefully I've learned a lot more how to be gracious in that area. So my personal music at church was constantly under assault, which is why I was so excited to run to the gospel group, because I thought, this is just mine. But the assault followed. And yeah, so my very first gig with the gospel group, I was told was going to be my last and only and ever. And we had worked so hard. We had complex arrangements, really intricate harmonies. You know, you do
Yeah, you work
all
hard.
the work.
And finally, you get to go perform for people.
Yeah, well, you get to make your noise in a big space, and,
Yeah.
and it pays off. Who doesn't want to see their work come to life? And so I remember walking into that church.
Your first gig, and at the time you thought,
Yeah,
your
my
last gig.
very last. So at that point, I was done with music, and I actually stopped playing church music, like as a music director, as a church musician, for about 3.5 years after that. I said, I can't do the fighting anymore. I can't do the competition. I don't want anyone to know I do this. I don't. We changed churches.
wow.
I was anonymous, and it was kind of lovely because there's a lot of
Yeah.
self-discovery, but
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, what I thought was going to be safe and sacred turned out to be a whole new battleground. But at this point, I had gotten tired of just saying, okay. And I had gotten tired of quitting for someone else's reasons. And I mean, this wasn't I was determined this was going to be the last time this happened to me. You know, I was finally ready to try and find my own voice. Whatever I found at the end, I needed to know what that sounded like. And so, while I was determined to do that, my friends in the gospel group were even more determined to keep me.
Okay.
Which I had no idea about.
Oh, wow. So they were advocating behind your back, essentially.
Yeah. Because, you know, at that time, the person I was married to was reaching out to different members, telling them that they should encourage me to quit because I wasn't quitting on my own, which is, I didn't find that out until later.
Wow.
And no one actually encouraged me to quit. Actually, quite the opposite.
Yes.
What they did do was try to bring that person along and make them feel included.
Right.
Which is, good Lord, to anyone on the planet, what an example of humanity.
Sure.
Like, we should always strive first to include. And, you know, if that don't work out, well, then that's on someone else.
So, who was in this? Was Jim in this group with you?
This is where I met Jim Abdo.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, like I said, Brent Olstad, who I met at that funeral. And this is the group that showed me the connection that I had been searching for my whole life.
Okay.
So,
can you explain the connection? Because I believe this is probably something that other people deal with as well,
think so.
Right? Like people who grow up in a, you know, in an atmosphere of somewhat protection, but you know, and there's this other part they feel called to, but they're not called to leave what they have, but they're called to explore other things. And so, like, how was that connection made for you?
Well, for me, it was made because I'm in a gospel group, right? And I've grown up in church my whole life. And so everything is about the sacred and, you know, not being too much, not distracting from the focus, which is a God-centered focus in all things, which is marvelous. Because who wants to focus on yourself all the time? Gross.
Yeah.
And but in that, the focus gets so narrow, it can become destructive, and there's little room left for your humanity, which happens to be the most beautiful gift we were given, is our humanity, right? All the flaws, all the bends, all the potential, you know, the right to fail, the right to mess up and then try again. It's humanity. It is our greatest gift. We're super awful at it. But I think every year, every generation, we're trying really hard to make the best of it, you know, and really grow with it. So thank God for grace. Anyways, mostly you have to choose between the two. And since we're not created for that, you end up with a lot of internal conflict, and that bleeds out into your relationships and associations. I'm surrounded in this group of amazing people who are faith-based, but who are also creative and human and professional entertainers, and who play jazz and R&B and love Queen and listen to Elton John records and have been in cover bands and gone on USO tours, you know, and sung Madonna songs and had, like, you know, Aquanet up to here in the 80s and Lycra in the early 90s, you know.
But still very secure and solid in their faith.
And I mean, just people you want to grow up to be, you know?
Sure.
Like the best of the best. And I thought, that's the thing there it is. That's the thing. Look at these incredible people who take such good care of their families and their faith and have fun and are human and are celebrated and are blessed and are flourishing.
Yeah.
and look at what good they're doing in the world. They're, we're all broken people, but they're just a little more whole than I am because they haven't lost any part of the thing that they've been created to do. They've embraced all of it. I didn't know you could do that. Mm-hmm. And so that was liberating, absolutely liberating. And it's really profound to see that in people you have incredible respect for, because the old adage is never meet your heroes. They're incredibly disappointing.
Sure.
Right. Which I guess is good why I never met Prince when he was alive, because fantasy would be gone. So in this case, I got to meet my heroes.
Well, you could almost say that it was through getting to know them that they became your heroes.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's special. That's a different kind of hero.
Yeah.
That's a real
heroes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So this is where you start working with Jim. Now, Jim exposes you to, you're in this gospel group, which is still acceptable in your world.
To a degree.
And he starts inviting you out to perform other music at other gigs.
No,
No?
not quite. No,
Oh, okay.
Jim was very instrumental in showing me how to become a studio musician.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So what happened in the end is I started pulling Jim out into gigs.
Okay, so then there's another figure that enters the picture here, and that's Bishop.
Bishop Mayfield.
Bishop
So
Mayfield.
my imaginary first and last gig ever, little show, we had Bishop Mayfield sit in with the gospel.
What
group
an
that
incredible
night.
thing.
Like,
He's such an incredible performer. I
That
just
man is a
love
legend.
Yes, he is absolute legend. Yeah.
Absolute
And what a
legend.
name, Bishop Mayfield. Like,
I know, right?
come on.
Like,
Yeah.
hi,
How do you not own the room when you
I'm
walk
Jenny
in?
Davis. I'm made of cupcakes and fairy tales. But he's like, I'm Bishop Mayfield.
That's right.
I'm amazing.
Hey, hello. Yes. He's fantastic. What a great performer. So,
I
okay,
love
so
it when he calls me little sister. I'm like,
little
"Oh."
sister. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you perform the
Yeah, we sing.
that's where you get-
get together, which was amazing. I got to back him, which was so fun at that event. And I'm singing my face off and my heart out because I think this is the only time I'm ever going to be able to do it, which is such a good lesson. Always sing like it's the last time. Always sing like it's the last time. And you know what? It couldn't be. I could leave here and I get hit by a bus. Who knows?
Whoa.
But
I feel like I got to
sorry.
knock on stuff or something, throw salt over my, I don't know, but
Right, sorry.
all the
Anyways,
things.
all the things. After that, Bishop contacted me. I forget if it was through Brent or Jim or our director, Sean, but he asked if I would come sing backup with him with his group, Bishop Mayfield and Friends. And so I got to meet Bishop's backup singer for a hot minute.
That's awesome.
Which is so fun, which is where I ran into Jared again, because he was the music director or entertainment director at Howie's, which Bishop played. And Jared also put together the Southern Oregon Jazz Festival, which you and I competed in high school.
Hilarious.
Because it started out as an instructive thing, and then on
Right.
the weekend, all the instructors that came to teach us cool jazz tricks basically got together
show.
and partied on
That's
all
right.
weekend long.
Which I feel like I missed out on the actual cool part of that weekend, but that was fun. It was fun. Yeah, it's
We
nice.
got to grow up.
That's
and
right.
do it. But it was such a trip. I'm like, this is full circle. This is so weird. But Bishop's band was booked at one of the ballrooms for the Southern Oregon Jazz Festival in 2015, the fall of 2015. And Bishop had done a couple of shows with Doug Warner at the Criterion. He did The Legends of the Road, and they'd worked together on other things. And so they were gearing up to go into production for the I Have a Dream show coming in February of 2016, celebrating African American artists and their music. And they needed another vocalist. And Bishop recommended me to Doug. And Bishop was so smart because Bishop understood my nature, which is terribly shy. And he also understood the precarious balance I had at home. And he was so kind and loving and respectful of that. And so he didn't tell me that he was having Doug come to listen, because I would have said,
Bishop.
Yeah, I would have said,
Smooth.
I can't. I'm sorry for 1,000 reasons, but I know Bishop is so smooth, right? So Doug came and listened, and I passed the secret audition. And then Bishop said to me a couple of weeks later, he said, hey, I had my friend come listen to you. And I just thought it was like his friend. I'm like, that's very nice, Bishop. Thank you. He's like, no, do you want to be with us at the Criterion in February? And I went, blah. Yes, blah. Just all the panic attacks and all the freaking out. And it was amazing because they caught me at a real period of transition. So I was rebelling as an adult. I shaved all my hair off.
Wow.
I just couldn't take any form of what felt like oppression to me anymore. I was just like, I can't do any of this. And so it was all just a beautiful timing. And so that's how I got started, was gospel group, Bishop, Criterion. At the Criterion is where I met the Suspects.
Ooh, the Rogue Suspects.
Rogue Suspects.
Yes.
Yeah, because Don Harris was the musical director for the Criterion shows, who was the keyboardist and musical director for the Suspects for many years.
The Suspects are just a collection of some of the best
Like
musicians
the
in the area,
best
right?
people, yeah.
So that's a fantastic affiliation that you were able to make through that. And so you do this show. So you do this show.
I do this show, and I'm with Bishop and Jade Chavez and Lisa.
Ooh, Jade's great too. Love Jade, yes.
Jade is like my wife. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I face kiss her all the time. Like, my wife, thank you. And so she's my everything. I love her. So Bishop, Jade, myself, and Lisa Udall on vocals, with Doug on the front line, which was really, really cool to work with these incredible people.
Good.
I'm like, what is my life? This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
How did I get here from this dorky kiddo who had to teach herself everything to being on this stage? I still don't believe it. I would not be surprised if someone went, just kidding. I'm like, you know what? I knew it. Thanks for the ride.
Well, and I love this moment that we're in now, where you are moving into and exploring the soloist.
Oh my
right?
gosh, it's insane.
Jenny. And because you have such an incredible voice, and
that's very kind.
And it's clear that it's been refined over a lifetime. Like, you've spent you've just been working your voice and learning more about it and digging in. It's not easy. So you had a gift and you worked it, and it's this incredible thing that we all get to enjoy. I love it. And you find yourself in the Suspects, where you are surrounded by other people who are incredible as well. So you've got Jade, you've got Bishop, you've got Shay.
Bishop. I don't even know Shay at this point. It took me like a whole another year to even come across Shay or to have our paths connect. And so at this point, it's, Doug, Bishop, myself, Jade, Lisa. And I remember standing as close to the wings as possible. I was like, can I just be behind stage? I would be very comfortable with that. And then Donnie Yance on bass, David Bolin on drums, Jack Hopfinger on electric guitar, and Don on keys. And it was just, you listen to records and the radio your whole life, and then all of a sudden it's real and you can feel it. And it's like, I didn't know that this was the thing that has been in my heart this whole time. I always hoped, I always imagined, I always thought, but to sit in that moment and feel it, unbelievable. Unbelievable. There are no words to describe that. When you hear the music of Sam Cooke, like, in your body as a physical thing, because your friends are singing it on either side of you, and you feel this wall of music behind your back and in your feet, and all the artistry with everyone at the Criterion, with Sean engineering all of your sound, and he just picks up all your nuances in like a week. I don't know how he does that. Sean Insall, I love you. And then Brad's just lighting
Brad
you
Nelson,
to the gods, you know, and then Eric is running around just making
Truly
everyone
gifted
happy and
crew.
excited.
Yes. Talented.
Unbelievable.
And Steven is amazing.
Those
Just
people are unbelievable.
the Criterion is a gift to Southern Oregon for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, they're just
So-
the sweetest.
Okay, so
But that's how I met David and Dawn in The Suspects.
Ah.
And then I had never heard of The Suspects. I didn't know anything about it. I do like a whole year's worth of shows or whatever. And then we have Girls Just Want to Have Fun the next year. And that's where I met Greg and Dirk. Basically, it was all of a sudden The Suspects as the house band. And then we also had John Taylor on keys, which was so cool. John's a beast. And then it was myself, Lisa Jade, and now Shay. We made up the girls.
yes, you
And-
sure did.
Yes, we did.
Dang, because we had you here for a fundraiser last year.
Yeah.
And the wall of power that is the voices of all you ladies, when you're all singing together, it's just like,
Right?
I feel like, you remember that, was it a Philips commercial when in the 80s and 90s or whatever, where they're like sitting in the chair and the hair's just blowing, you know, like,
Like for a surround
yeah,
sound.
yeah. So and that's what it was like, just sitting there as this wall of powerful voice, you know. But the musicality of everyone in that group is, and how well you all click, because it's not a small group,
No.
and you all just drop in and are in it.
Yeah.
It's really a beautiful thing. So if you ever have a chance to see the Rogue Suspects live, do not miss that.
Oh,
It's
all summer long.
yeah,
Just,
there's a lot of opportunities, but it's a fantastic experience. So, okay. So you were also doing some musicals as well.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you're doing these, but then there's some musicals
Oh my gosh,
too.
yeah, because I thought, you know, I've waited my whole life to try to just be myself. Why not try to pack it all in the next 2 years? Because every time I did something, I was convinced it was my last. If not because I didn't believe in myself, but because of how much I was being encouraged to stop.
Yes. Well, it wasn't working for your relationship with
No.
your husband at the
So
time.
every time was it was just awful.
Sure.
And so one of the reasons I loved this stage and singing on stage was whatever amount of time I was on there, no one can get to you, right? No one can get to you. You are so, it's all about that moment. And so everything you've ever felt or experienced, you get to just pack into that moment. Every lyric you sing is amplified by like 1,000 because there's nowhere else to go. You have nowhere else to hide. You're completely exposed, yet you're completely isolated because no one can get to you. I mean, after the show, it's like you're a mess,
Right.
You know,
Right.
But in that blissful moment, it's this beautiful suspension between panic and peace, and you're just right there hanging. It's
So at some
surreal.
moment in time, you end
Yeah.
up in, again, what you think is
The
your
last
last
time.
show. And you
Every show
actually
was the
made a
last show.
commitment that it was going to be your last show
Oh,
in your
yeah.
mind, right? This was to you, this
was-
was your swan song.
This was my swan song, and it wasn't even my swan song. So, a musical schedule is really grueling.
Yes.
The rehearsal schedule is nuts. It's nothing even close to when I have to do regular gig schedules.
Right.
Also super intense, but not 5 nights a week like
No.
these are.
Well, there's so many dynamics too.
Right. And you don't get paid to rehearse. So it's like, buy 3 months of my life for free.
Become part of an equity show. That's how you get paid.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
So thanks for the pro tip, man.
Yep. Find a show that hires equity.
Okay. Well, you know, and theater is just fun, and I'd never really done it, so I was excited to try because
Yes.
we all should just be able to try things, right?
I can't believe you've never done a show at the Cabaret. Have you done a show there?
Not as a musical.
You-
I've gone with like the Suspects, and we've done like special concert
Okay.
nights.
Yeah, that's great. But
Yeah.
like the shows there are so incredible.
They're really
right now
good.
they have In the Heights, and it's so
It's
good.
so
Go
good.
see it. It's so good.
Like I said, I don't go to theaters
Okay then.
not because I don't want to, but because I can't.
Yeah, you have
I have
other-
a family.
a family,
I'd love to bring
yes.
them along, but I can't.
Yep.
So theaters. If you
Theaters.
have special disability nights, I'm
That
telling you
would
that
be
is a
amazing
game
thing.
changer.
Okay.
I will teach you how to do it.
You heard it here. You heard it here. Okay, so
So, yeah, the musical I was in that I was like, you know, I'm so exhausted from fighting, so exhausted for fighting for myself. I am going to try absolute surrender. It's the only thing I haven't really given 100% was surrender, was giving up, you know? And it wasn't even my show. Jade had already gotten this role for Blues in the Night, and it was the role of the lady. The lady, right?
okay.
She had that. I didn't know. I had no idea it was even happening, you know, because my world is very small. And she calls me up one day. She goes, "Hey, baby." I'm like, "Hey, mama," you know, because that's my girl. And she's like, "So I was wondering if you would do me a huge favor. I have a show I was supposed to do, but I'm going to actually be leaving for Europe instead." And I was like, "Oh, I'll do anything for you," you know, and I just say yes. And because I think it's like a one-nighter or two-nighter, just like a singing thing. You know?
Just a gig.
Just like will you? I thought it was like, will you sit in for me?
Yes.
And she's like, yeah. So it's at the Randall Theater, and they have like a 3-week run. I'm like, say what now? But I already said that I would, and I would do anything for her. So I said, yeah, if you feel like I can handle the material, then I will do it. And I was like, also, don't I need to audition for that? And they're like, no, they'll probably just go ahead and take you because I'm leaving and they have to get production started soon. So if you could just do this solid. I'm like, yeah, okay.
I'll do it.
Absolutely. And they were so sweet. They took me sight unseen. I didn't audition. They were just super great. And that's when my theater family started growing.
Yes.
So I got to work with the people at the Randall, which was so much fun. I got to sing with 3 other phenomenal artists. I met Kathy Wing and her son John Wing, who are just the most incredible people on the earth. Kristen Calvin was one of the girls I sang with. Rose Passione. I mean, just those girls are they're angels. And oh my gosh, Kristen's having twins soon.
Oh, wow.
I know, so everything's coming up roses.
Very nice.
Yeah, but after that production, I was done. I was done with all music for the foreseeable future. And then literally, I think 2 weeks after that show, my whole life changed.
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible.
So it was the end of his line.
Yeah, lots of things changed for both of us.
So, okay. So you find yourself now, you
Just me.
having made this decision for yourself that you were going to be done. And now it's just you and you have your 2 boys and he leaves.
Yeah.
And then where did you go?
Into survival mode.
For how long?
Oh Lord. Sorry. I
have 2
forget
boys
this.
that are there. I'm guessing my boys are about the same age that your boys were then. And
They were 10 and 9.
my hat's off because I can't imagine doing that alone.
No, it was terrifying.
And one of your boys is on the spectrum,
Yeah.
which just
I was so scared to tell them. I didn't tell them for months. I didn't tell anyone for months what was happening in our family unit, because how do you say that? So it's like, yeah, I was just living this weird sort of like double life. I was like, this is like James Bond, but with none of the glamour. Okay. If only I had an Aston Martin, everything would be
Did you?
better.
Yeah. Did you at least have cool gadgets or
No.
something? Oh, okay.
No.
All right.
But what
So really nothing like James Bond, actually.
Nothing.
Just, yeah. Okay.
What I did have was the most incredible music family on the planet.
Yes.
And once it all really...
Did they rally around
Dude,
you and your
those
family?
people.
Yeah.
Those people.
That's amazing.
Every last one of them. The gospel group people, the Suspects practically helped me raise the boys as well. I mean, Greg and Dirk were always slipping me fives out of the tip jar from their own little pile, saying, give this to the boys. This is for the boys. And I mean, like, they bought food for my children. It was the most awful, most wonderful time of my life.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah.
And that's when, you know, I mean, a hole is created, and that's when you find out really what the other people in your life are, right? Where and that they're there for you in that moment, and they're there for you and your family, and to have that gift, which was something that, you know, again, when I listen to you talk about your life and your stories, you are always blessed by all of these things happening to you in this very unexpected, unassuming way. And they also happen to you for a reason, because of who you are and what you bring to all of those people's lives, right? You enhance all the lives around you with your smile, your energy, your passion, your love, your talent. And that's something that, again, it's like, that doesn't just happen to everyone, right? There's a lot of people who end up in tough situations and they don't have that to fall back on. And it wasn't just there for you because you were lucky. You cultivated that over a lot of time and drew that to you as well. So it's like, you know, I say that because you're very good at giving credit, not good at taking it or owning your part in it. Because that is,
I give really good hugs.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so I want to. So you're this extended family really rallies.
Yes. Yeah.
Rallies around you, your boys. And at some point, isn't there a wizard that gets involved? Can we talk about how that happened? You have there's a wizard in your life.
I do. I have a dark wizard.
Let's talk about that. So tell me, there's a gig that happens and you're missing a bass player.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is hilarious. So Jim Abdo, who was in my gospel group, we became fast friends. I mean, we're like the same people. We had lunch the other day as a family, and we came dressed almost exactly alike, which is hard to do when one of you is, you know, a grown man and the other one is really weird brown girl. And so to come in like nearly the same outfit, I'm like, dude, this is crazy. But that's my homie.
That's right. That's how tight you are.
That's how tight we is. Yes. So anyways, when I just started getting back into church music again, because I took that break, one of the worship team configurations I was playing for, we were missing a bass player that weekend. And Jim, I knew, had 2 children. I had met his daughter, and he has a son named Ian. And Ian had lived in Portland for, now I know, 5 years. I think he was in Portland. And he had just moved back to the Rogue Valley to help take care of his sister Jessica, who has a severe debilitating disease called ME. And so
he moved back to help take care of her.
to help take care of his sister. Moved in with his sister and his husband to offer his physical support and just,
Wow.
yeah,
That's amazing.
I know.
Okay.
I know. So
Is he an older brother or a younger brother?
younger brother.
Wow.
I know.
Okay. That's awesome.
I know. It's unbelievable. And so he moves back, and I think he'd only been here about 3 weeks or so. And Jim says, "Hey, I heard you're down a bass player. My son just moved back into town. He happens to play bass. Would you guys mind if he sat in?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure, that should be okay." Because Jim's an incredible musician, right? So we figured if Ian was...
If he's vouching for him.
yeah, if he's vouching for him, he can at least play like, 1, 4, 5, a couple of relative minors and be fine, And so we're like, yeah, that'll be fine. We need a bass player. So yes, whatever you got, we'll take. Thank you for bringing your son to us. How nice of you. And Jim, I remember we were all set up, and Jim and Ian walk in, and Jim is always in cargo shorts, no matter what time of year it is, really. If he's wearing pants, we're like, "Are you okay? Is everything all right?" And flip-flops and like an Aloha shirt or t-shirt. And Ian is nothing like his father. He comes in like Doc Martens, black distressed jeans like tucked into the top of his boots. He's got like this black hoodie on. He's got double piercings on his lip. He's got like a small mohawk going on, and he walks in, and I was like, "Dark Wizard, who brought the Dark Wizard? What is that? Who is this?" I'm like, "You didn't make that. That's not your son. Shut up. That's not, no. I don't believe you." I'm like, "Birth certificate
Let's
now."
see. That's right.
Yeah, but no, Jim made a Dark Wizard. It was amazing, and he is amazing. And so that started our, we became co-workers in a sense, or colleagues, because we had to work together as musicians.
Oh, so he didn't just sit in the one time. He actually had some chops.
Yeah, he far exceeded all of us on that stage that day, actually, if I'm really thinking about it and being incredibly honest. Yeah. I
mean,
he was
bassist coming from the Portland music scene.
Yeah. He had his own band for several years. They toured. They did their own thing. He has his own album. He plays bass, violin, keys.
Wow.
He knows how to mix. He plays electric. Yeah. So he didn't need us. That's for sure.
Awesome. So that's great. So he starts sitting in, and you kind of through church you started to get to know each other.
And we just become really casual acquaintances. We weren't even friends. I didn't have time for friends, neither did he. But I was always drawn to him because he was a man of character, and you knew it, because who gives up their life to come take care of their sister?
Yeah, that's incredible.
And he had just published his first book. He's a writer.
Wow.
Yeah, more than he's a musician, which is Cuckoo Brains. And so as good as he...
Cuckoo Brains,
Cuckoo Brains. So as good of a musician he is, he's an even better writer, because that's his real passion. I'm like, ugh, you make me sick. Also, I love you, but you make me sick. So he...
Do you write together?
Oh, good Lord, no. Did you not hear the song I sang you at the top?
Yeah,
of this?
but
that was horrifying.
You've written other music since then.
Yeah.
Okay, but
I am not a writer. No, you don't want me writing anything ever. Unless.
But he's a writer.
He's a writer.
Okay.
He had published his first book. He gave all that up. Who stops at the start of your career when you have nothing to tell you no, other than just the love of your sibling? Like. He gave that all up. It was.
And how old was he at the time? Because it's a very mature.
He was 34.
Well, but and just to understand, 35. Just to understand that.
I think he just turned 35. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
crazy.
Hats off to you, Ian. That's incredible. That is quite a move there to make.
Yeah. So you can just. the few things I knew about him were really significant choices for any human. And so I had a deep respect for that. And I thought, I bet being friends with a person like that would be really nice. And he seems to be very, very smart, which I really enjoy. And so I was like, I would just like to hear him say words. I think that would be nice. Let's be friends, you know? So I would send him really stupid emails with a really horrible music attached to try to break the ice, and he like never responded. So I'm like, oh yeah, so he hates me. It's fine. It's fine. You know, which is probably great because I really wasn't allowed to have friends anyway. So it worked out. But I always enjoyed working with him. And as an outsider, his choices were phenomenal. I had nothing but respect for that man. And I knew his parents really well. And they are aces.
Right.
Because
Jim
is like my best friend.
Your buddy.
I know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, yes. So your marriage is behind you at this point.
Yeah.
And then he also is unattached.
He was unattached. In a manner of speaking, he was considering being attached to someone else because we're both gamers. No, this is really funny.
Gamers.
Okay, gamers, you know.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
Huge.
Yeah.
So that's really what got our friendship started was we started chatting a little bit, and I was telling him about how much I loved gaming, and he was like, no way, I would have never pegged you for that. Here are some games you might enjoy. And he nailed it. I loved all the things he was suggesting. Yeah. And then we would just keep talking about like weapons builds and armor builds and like leveling up. And it was just
the geek comes out. I love it.
I love it.
So
amazing.
Yes.
So we formed a really fast friendship with that, and it was very exciting. But he was talking to some chickadee online, like in his gaming friends.
Oh yeah.
And I had been
chickadee.
Some chickadee.
I see the little cackles.
I know,
there.
right?
Yeah.
And I've never been jealous or possessive, but he changed everything. Like, hands off. Anyways, and I was actually talking to, I had a couple of chickadoodles. I don't know what you call dudes.
Oh,
dudes who I had never really dated. Really. And so I had some fellas asking me out. And I was like, okay, well, let's try that. And so, like, I went on a date with a guy. That shouldn't sound as weird as I made it sound.
No, it's fantastic. It's great. Yes.
I went on a date with this guy, and I was not good at it. And immediately after the date, I went straight to Ian's place.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I was just like, he's like, hey, how are you? How's the date? I'm like, can I just hang out here for a minute? Do you have an extra controller? And so we just like played Diablo for a couple hours after that date. And then I went home. But it was so funny that my instinct was to run to Ian.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because that night he touched my knee. I know.
He touched my knee. Okay.
Well, he's such a gentleman.
And then explosions.
And then literally 2 days later, he's like, so I'd like to have a conversation with you about dating. And I was like, yes, let us have this discussion. Yes. We have discussed weapon builds and systems upgrades and things. But
perfect.
Yeah. And that's how it all got started. And we had the conversation, and it went really well.
And how long? So now you are married.
We're married.
And how long have you been married?
A whole year and almost 2 weeks.
Well, congratulations. That's a beautiful thing.
Like I said, it was a really good conversation.
Yes. And you still play music together. You perform together.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Speaking of which.
Yes.
We have a very special show coming up here at the Hive featuring Miss Jenny Abdo. And it's called Jenny's Playlist.
Jenny's Playlist.
Tell me about Jenny's Playlist.
Well, it's my first solo project, which I'm incredibly excited about. As I've mentioned throughout this interview, I spent a lot of time looking for my voice.
Yes.
And I finally found it, or at least the beginning of my voice. So I'm excited to use it now. But Jenny's playlist is a musical walkthrough, some of the most formative songs and some of the original material I've written over the years. From the very get-go as a little sprout in LA, all the way up to this, aging female in the Rogue Valley.
Aging female.
Aging female in the Rogue Valley.
You have a way with words.
This is why I don't write books. Could you imagine your heroine? Middle-aged matron with brunette locks, sometimes washed, lots of dry shampoo. Like, no one would read that.
Perfect. Okay, so this playlist is this eclectic mix of
It's
life and inspiration.
Life, inspiration, stories, some of them my own, some of them other people's.
And you have quite an eclectic mix of people that are joining you, like as a band.
It's some of my gospel group members. So, people who have been my family for ages. If I could fit all of them on this little stage, I would, but I can't. So that's for another aspiration. But Dan Kuchera is my electric guitarist, and that man is a beast. He is a beast. He shreds.
Shout out to Dan, the beast.
Dan the beast. I know. He's incredible. You'll have so much fun listening to him. I mean, he will bring you all the moments, all the feels, and melt your face while doing it.
Oh, melt. I like having my face melted by
right?
guitarists. Yes.
Yeah, so good.
So Dan's on guitar.
Dan's on guitar, electric.
Yeah, electric.
And then
guitar.
I've got Matthew Kremmelman on the kit.
Oh,
I know, the metronome himself.
The metronome, is that his nickname?
That's what I call him.
Fantastic.
I never get lost when it's Matthew on the kit.
Yes.
Never get lost.
And you have some rando playing bass, right?
Some rando playing bass. Just this hot wizard I found.
Yes, Mr. Ian Abdo.
Yeah, I've got my husband on bass.
That's
which
amazing.
Is very
I can't
exciting.
wait. I have to be honest. I'm very excited to see that as well. Like, hear him play bass after hearing your stories about him, and he just seems like this incredible human. I want to hear this. I want to hear him shred the bass.
Thank you. I'm making him play not a bunch of. We're playing one Dio song.
Oh, Dio.
So that's very exciting.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'm looking forward to him. Smacking the bass on that one for sure. But he's just, he's such a team player. And if he could also play behind the curtains, he would as well. Our ideal concert is just to sit behind the stage. It's basically a Milli Vanilli situation where other people are out in front,
out there performing,
and we're in the back with like sandwiches and champagne, playing and singing.
Yep. Perfect. I like it. I like it.
And so Ian's on bass, and I've got my best pal / father-in-law on acoustic guitar and backing vocals.
Nice.
Which is phenomenal. Jim is a musician I trust implicitly. I respect everything about his choices. I have learned so much from him, and it's so much fun because sometimes we butt heads, but in like the best way possible. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
To kind of like
it's collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have the best time, and we laugh more than we get more work done. So we should probably work on that for studio time. But he and I have done the Broken Works duo on a couple of events, and then my sweet Jade is going to come and sing a couple duets with me that we wrote together in the gospel group.
That's incredible. That's like very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's a song called Sanctuary that I just can't sing without her.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just a 2-voice song.
It has to be.
It's a Jenny and Jade song.
It's a Jenny and Jade song.
I like it.
No doubt. Like, I have to play piano on it, but if I wasn't, we'd probably be holding hands the whole time we sang it.
Oh, so you play and sing?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I play the piano.
Oh, that's just a little side thing here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I'm glad that we got that shoehorned in there.
Who is my keyboard player? Oh,
that's me.
No, it's okay.
That's exciting.
Almost everyone knows why I go, ugh, it's me. It's fine.
It's so great. So great. Okay, so I hear also you have this interesting I guess I don't know if it's as far as maybe a fetish, but you have this thing about cake.
Oh, it's my favorite food. It's been my secret lover for 35 years.
So food is or cake is a very important thing in your life.
Cake has always been the most important thing in my life. Do you know why I stayed in church so long? Potlucks. You know why potlucks? Cake. It's all connected.
It's all connected. Okay. So I hear we're going to have, because you love cake, there will be cake at the show.
There will be cake at the show. Yes.
Jenny's playlist and her favorite cake.
So I'll tell you about one of my most, I don't know why. I don't know what about cake. It's the perfect food. You know, if it's sweet, it's delicate, it's moist, but it's not like smushy, you know, because anyways, the consistency is perfect. But there was one girls show we did called The Power of Love. And, you know, we had a ton of love songs to do. And I was singing, You're Gonna Love Me from Dreamgirls, right?
So good.
And so
that's a big one.
Oh, it was.
That's a big song, Mama.
It was a monster. It was a monster,
yes.
And our band nailed it. I mean, ugh. Anyways, so I was on the stage, and whenever you're in a relationship, in my experience, there's always pressure as a singer to have the song that you're singing be about and dedicated to the person you're in the relationship with. So they're like, is that about me? Is that it, you know? And I can't that's very hard for me to do in general, because music is about exploration for me, not dedication. I have no problem singing about and to and for my boys, but other grown humans, I don't do that very well. Ian is the exception. So I'm getting ready to sing this song. I see the person in the front row. I know they're expecting it, but I can't lie about that because I don't feel that at all. And so Shay is so funny. She sets me up. She's like, so Jenny, is there someone special you want to sing this song to you? Like, you're gonna love me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I forget how the whole thing went down, but I said, oh yes, he's tall, he's dark, he's German. I saw him in a display case on a bakery. He was covered in coconut pecan frosting. He's a German chocolate cake. I sang the song to a piece of cake.
To a piece of cake. That is truly a tribute song. Yes.
Yeah. So love.
So are we going to have German chocolate cake at the show?
Not German
what
chocolate.
do we have?
We'll have vanilla cake and chocolate cake.
Okay. I love it.
Classic.
So before we go, though, we have to do, this is a thing that we do on Deep Dive from the Hive. It's a super fun thing. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to get in our
Geo Metro time machine.
That's right. It's a Geo Metro time machine. If you listen to our show, you know exactly where we're heading. So picture this. You have to get in a car. You have to get in a Geo Metro. And you have to drive across the country to the very furthest point of Florida, which, if you don't know, Oregon and Florida, opposite ends of the country. If you don't know, then maybe you skip some grades. I don't know. But you nonstop. You get in this car, you have to drive nonstop across the country. But when you get there, you are going to see the most incredible concert of your life. And you get to pick who the opening act is, who the main support, and who the headliner is. Okay. So, and it can be anybody from any time in their prime, anybody. It could be Beethoven. It could be whoever. Okay. So here we go.
Super easy.
So your opening act.
Sammy Davis Jr.
Sammy.
Absolutely.
Sammy. Yeah. Okay. All right.
You should really look up Sammy Davis Jr. singing "Begin the Begin," completely a cappella, only accompanied by, I think it was a conga player. He does the whole thing a cappella. Does not miss one pitch or transition. It's a masterpiece.
Wow.
A masterpiece. I've never heard anything like it.
That's amazing.
As far as like the human voice goes, that might be the most pristine moment I've ever heard. So,
all right, we got Sammy as the opening act. That. See, I might cheat. I might cheat and throw the Rat Pack in there so I could see all three of them.
See all of them, yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Not
but
to
anyways,
mention so much scotch.
So Sammy,
that'd be fun.
Yep. Sammy's your opening act. Who's your main support? Who's coming up next?
DNCE.
DNCE.
Yeah.
All right. This cake thing is a
cake by the ocean.
That's right. This is a big part of your life. I see.
Well, you know what's so funny? The Jonas Brothers, also a band that started out in the church. And so I have really enjoyed each Jonas fella's path of discovery.
Journey. Yeah.
Yes. And so the Jonas that heads up DNCE, it just really resonates with me.
Sure.
His experience, his lyric choice, the energy he brings to all of the music they write. And, you know, it's a collaboration, of course, but it's so full of joy and whimsy, and it's fun.
Yeah.
And he's not pegged down to one style, and he doesn't take himself too seriously. So it's just a party every time, whether it's a contemplative piece that he's written, or it's something, you know, ridiculous like Cake by the Ocean. I mean,
But that song rips. It's so fun.
Dude.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
You know
okay.
What I haven't done is eaten cake while listening to that song. I can't believe it.
By the ocean.
Right.
Go get it some cake. Go to the coast.
Bucket list.
Listen to the song. Boom. Okay. So who's your headliner? Who's your headliner?
Prince.
Oh, see, we knew that was coming.
How could it not?
We knew that was coming. Yeah.
It's it's Prince. Lyrically,
that's amazing.
Emotionally, also
he's an amazing dude. Anybody who basically anywhere on the planet, you can. This person wasn't actual royalty, but yet if you just say the word Prince, everyone knows who you're talking about.
Which Prince it is? Yeah. Exactly.
That's amazing.
That's a boss.
That is a boss.
That's a boss.
Yes. Some could say he actually was royalty. He just reshaped what royalty meant, right?
I believe that.
Okay, yeah. So Sammy Davis Jr., we have DNCE, and we have Prince. That's a win. That's a win. I'm going to that show. Can I get in that geometry?
All right.
All right. Okay.
Just have pizza, churros, and that show, and you are set.
Yes. And if you can't make it to that show because it is just a mythical object, you can instead come May 20th.
Yeah.
You can come to the Hive, or you can log on and watch it online because we will be live streaming your show.
That's incredible.
May 20th. Jenny's playlist. Is there any last thoughts you want to leave us with?
Yeah. Don't let anyone tell you what your voice should be. I spent way too long letting other people influence mine.
Yeah.
And so now this is my first show. And no matter what you're pursuing in your life, no matter what you're going for, mine was music because it brings healing and hope. That's how I found this avenue. It's what my purpose is to share that hope.
Yes.
Whatever yours is, get after it. Don't let anyone change your mind. That's the last thing I want to say.
I love that. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Oh my
Deep
gosh,
Dive from the
thanks
Hive.
for having me.
Thanks to Joe Dinkowitz and Middle Rogue Audio for sound and helping out with the video of this video today. And thanks to Jared Davidson and Kingsley Entertainment for helping bring Jenny to our stage. And just we're excited for the show. And you know, if you're listening to this after the show, then definitely go check it out online because it'll be available for you to watch. But if you're listening to this before the show, do not miss it. Don't miss it live. Come join us here at the Hive. We'll be excited to have you. We'll have a piece of cake waiting with your name on it. Jenny, thank you. We love you. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And Miss Jenny Abdo, have a good night. Thank you.